Yo, 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 yo. What's good? What's good, everybody? It is J Shep, and you are here with the rundown. That's right. This is episode number 3 or 4, something like that. We back and we live. So if you're here watching this live on YouTube, watching live on Facebook, I want to tell you thank you. Thank you for jumping in. Thank you for joining the conversation. Thank you for being a part of this new format, this new show, where I give you my thoughts. I run down the things that have been on my mind. I run down the situations that I've seen, stories that are online, stories that may be in the news. It could be politics, it could be music, it could be things happening in the church. And today we are going to talk about exclusively one topic and one topic alone today, because we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. So I'm going to cut this intro music. And if you're watching this right now, I need you to do a couple things. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, hit the share button, because sharing is caring. I need you all to hit the share button and the subscribe button, because when you share and you subscribe, it helps the channel to grow. It helps the content to grow. It helps the conversation to be broader. It helps for the algorithms and all that good stuff. I'm new to this type of format, and I would like to grow the show and grow the conversation and ultimately be better for it in the end. So where do I want to begin? So let me begin with the stuff that went down last week. That's where I want to begin. And I want to open up my, I can see my comments here as they come in on my Facebook page. So what's up, you guys? Say what's up to me when you're watching. I'm glad that you're here. So last week we saw Diddy was taken away. Diddy gone. Diddy bopped his way on to the feds. And we've been hearing a lot about the freak offs, and we've been seeing memes, and we've been seeing everybody posting things about baby oil and all this kind of stuff. And it's been funny. Everybody's been getting their jokes off. He, ha, ha, ha. Some of it's funny. Some of it's not funny. But, you know, this the internet. So we going to laugh at stuff that maybe we shouldn't laugh at. But we find a way to find the humor in everything. But last week, Diddy went away. And as we continue to comb through, no pun intended, as we comb through the things that happened with Diddy, why Diddy went down, the ultimate reason why Diddy went down was because of an abuse of power. If you boil it down, if you boil it all the way down, a rich man, a powerful man, a lot of influence, the ability to make other people rich, the ability to put other people on. Diddy had all that. And in the end, the crimes that he's accused of, if you look at the root cause of all of it, it's power. Power. There's a saying, I believe it says, absolute power corrupts absolutely. It absolutely does. So when I see this thing that's happening with Diddy, I don't get excited that Diddy is going to jail. Like I said last week, that doesn't excite me. It doesn't make me happy. It's quite sad that it went down like that, because we could all see going down the rabbit hole, pause, what was going to happen. So he gone, right? So I thought about something, and I thought about what happens when people take advantage of power. Because in some essence, we all have power, right? Whether you agree or disagree. If you're in the chat, if you believe you got some kind of power, I believe that you do. As a parent, I have 2 children. I have power and authority in my home. But as a parent, as a father, it is not my responsibility to be abusive with power or authority. So anyone who has a little kid, little child, say your child is 2 years old or 3 years old, and they do something that's wrong. You tell them, some people believe in spanking, some people don't. Let's say you believe in spanking, you spank them in the appropriate way, and then they go about their business, and then they may or may not do it again, or what have you. But what happens, and we've seen this story play out. I'm going somewhere with this. The parent that gets so frustrated with their child, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, and they tie their child down to teach them a lesson because they got the power and the child doesn't. Now, the child did something wrong. The child needed to be corrected. The child needed to have bop, 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 bop. And I'm going to show you because you live in my house, and I'm going to show you I'm the daddy. I'm the daddy. I'm the mama, blah, blah, blah. I'm the grandma. You don't do this and blah, blah, blah. I'm the daddy. I'm in charge, blah, 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 right? When you are the person who is in authority and you are the person who has the power, it's up to you to learn how to lead effectively. Effective leadership, effective use of power. So this makes me segue, even talking about Diddy and his abuse of power, talking about parents and how we can have an abuse of power. This leads me to what I want to talk about today. I'm gonna get to that video, and it's gonna be a moment because I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna unload on my thoughts on what I saw. But let me continue to talk about this idea of power. Because as a pastor, which I'm a pastor. Our church is we currently meet online, but we were having church in person. So I know what it is to be a pastor for the past couple of years. I'm not a veteran. I'm not a long-term, ain't been pastoring 20, 30 years. But something I have learned is that an intended or unintended consequence of pastoring is having power and authority. So whether a pastor intends to have it or is not intending to have it, they have it in some sort of way. So when you are a pastor, somebody calls you pastor, somebody calls you bishop, somebody calls you apostle, somebody calls you evangelist, somebody calls you missionary, and I've seen it all down through the years in my life. I had a conversation a couple months ago about a pastor who actually fixed their mouth to tell my mom to shut up. And I used some choice words when I found out, because it's the power, the absolute power that some pastors use to do things that are not just questionable, not just wrong, but straight up, wow, my guy. Straight, what I call straight nasty work. I'm not even going to get on that yet because my homie Steve Dukes, shout out to my homie Steve Dukes. If y'all are watching this right now, tag my homie Steve Dukes because I'm going to use one of his videos. And then I'm going to really go in some more. My homie Steve Dukes summed up a lot of churches because we can grow up in church and not think that what we actually experience at our church wouldn't be strange, weird, confusing to the everyday person. So check out this video from Steve Dukes. It's about 8 seconds. I hope y'all caught that. Visit my church. It's not weird. Also my church. We got Barney the dancing dinosaur with his grandpa with a tambourine. And we all chuckled at that video because we all know that for some of us, that is our experience at our weird church. A lot of us have seen high levels of strangeness and weirdness in church. Traumatic filled experiences in church, but we get very defensive, and I get it. I get it. I'm a pastor. But we get very defensive if somebody says, hey, bro, nah, that ain't right. Nah, we shouldn't be doing that. What's up? So now I'm going to send you to the video in question. Now, remember what I just showed you from Steve Dukes. I just showed you the dancing dinosaur. It was a skit, right? Of course, that wasn't a church. That was a skit. What I'm going to show you actually is not a skit. This is a real thing. So, I should put a disclaimer on this. Viewer discretion advised. I don't even know if I want my kids to see this, but check this out.
Open your mouth. No, open it. Ah. Say ah. Stick your tongue out.
All right. I'm going to go back to what I said. Let me read what I wrote down. An intended or an unintended consequence of pastoring is power and authority. So what you saw right there, and I may need to throw this song in there in a minute. All right. When he told him to all right, Trey Songz. I will not say anything personal about anybody who was in that video because I don't know it. I don't know them personally. So I won't make this about anything personal about any other people in the video. I'm not going to name a name, say any names or anything like that because that's not my intent. I don't want y'all to miss my intent on why I'm doing this. Because the actual issue is not the person. It's not the person who said to say ah, nor is it the other person on the other end, which I actually believe is more of a victim. It's not about them. But the sad part is that now things happen openly in public, and now we get to respond to them. I posted this. I did a post on this yesterday, and I knew some people was gonna get their jokes off. Some people were gonna be offended. Some people were gonna try to bring context or bring clarity. Let me say this. Let me start here. This video does not need context or clarity. It does not. No context or clarity is needed. There's one place, two places only, maybe three places where you go and you say ah, and somebody actually commands you to do that. Number one is the dentist. The dentist is the first and foremost person that says, say ah. Say ah, right? And every time I feel like I have to say ah. You want me say ah. All right, I'm sorry. The dentist is the only person that can tell you and instruct you. Number one, the dentist. Number two, a doctor. You at the doctor's office, you have an appointment at the doctor, they want to see what's going on with your tonsils. Number 3, and I've never been arrested, but if you at the police station, the police gonna tell you, say ah. Under no circumstances, there's no context needed, because I've worked as a teacher for years. No teacher would do this. If you work in any corporate environment, your boss wouldn't do this. And in fact, even at church, you wouldn't do this behind closed doors. Or you shouldn't be. A parent to child, say out. Okay, I got that, Javon. Yes, a parent to child. That's exactly. Thank you for pointing that out. But as a pastor, let me tell you why this is a huge no-no. Any pastor that is doing this, you laying hands on people, you touching people in a way that's not becoming or what have you. I'm not even gonna go down another rabbit hole. You open yourself up to a high level of liability, because at any given time, that person on the other end of that touch could be like, I didn't like that. At any given time, I'm trying to help y'all. I'm trying to help you, pastors. I'm trying to help people who want to bring context. Somebody could have some sort of a trigger and wake up and either one or two things. They're ready to sue, or they're ready to get you arrested, or both. But we, as pastors, want to say we in the spirit and the Lord said and blah, 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 blah. But what is on camera can be deemed as assault. So this is why people, when they see this, they go, oh, what in the what? Because you end up actually violating a person's space in the name of deliverance, in the name of Jesus, in the name of I'm your spiritual father, I'm your daddy, I'm your covering, I'm the thing that you need to get through this next season. And what happens to people when they come to church and they come to the altar, people who come to the altar are oftentimes in their most vulnerable place spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. So when I hear people say that, and one of the things I've been talking about is projecting. A lot of times we'll see things like, I'll never, and I'll never, and I'll blah, 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 and I would never. And I get you, I hear you, but hear me out. I want you to hear me out, please. Please hear me out. For the young man who was standing there, and I don't need the full context, but I would, if I was a betting man, I would bet that nothing on the flyer said, this service is the this ain't the say I service. I don't believe anybody came there and said, today is the day that bishop, pastor, evangelist, prophet, whatever you want to be called or labeled as, is going to take blessed oil, pour it on his hands, and then he's going to tell me to I may be wrong, but I've been in church 45 years of my life, and I've never seen anything quite like this. It was about 5 or 6 years ago. It was a little boy. that was at church, and he must have been doing the Easter speech or something. He came up and they told him to do his speech, and this is what he said.
I'm tired of this church. Oh, wait, hang on. That's a beautiful.
He said, and I'm gonna play it one more time.
I'm tired of this church. Oh, wait, hang on.
I'm tired of this church. I'm tired of this church. What are we tired of? What are we tired of? I'm tired of conversations that literally lead to us defending things that are indefensible. It's indefensible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if this is your friend. I'm sorry if this is your pastor. I'm sorry if this is your loved one. I'm sorry if this person has helped you through certain things. Like I said, I'm not going to say anything personal about the person because I don't know them. Never had a conversation with them. But a person on the post was like, y'all are being so brutal. And I'm like, herein lies the issue. Brutal? Brutal is when we can see somebody literally be violated in front of us and actually try to give context to it. There's zero context that is to be had with such things. Zero. Somebody tried to bring up sexuality in my post. They were bringing up sexuality. And I was like, listen, all I know is it's equally as bad if it were a woman. Had that been a woman standing there and he did that to her, is there more of an uproar, outcry? What y'all saying then? Because some people are trying to make this a sexuality thing, which ultimately, that's not my business. But it can be taken as something that is sexual. So regardless of a person's sexuality or sexual preference, that does not matter. What matters is you don't touch people on their tongue. I was watching an episode of Seinfeld, one of my favorite shows, and Elaine was in the car talking to a guy. I believe he was a dentist. They're in the car talking, and he's explaining to her things about the tongue, and he's actually holding her tongue. It was a very awkward scene. And at the end of the scene, he lets go of her tongue and he leans in to kiss her. And she's like, no way. Ugh. Why were we grossed out? Because there are safe zones for people to be touched. When you violate a safe zone, I'm trying to help people, actually. I'm trying to help people. When you violate a safe zone, when you violate things that are off limits, what's a safe zone? An arm, a shoulder, maybe top of the hand, maybe side of the waist, maybe a back. I don't know. See, safe zones. That is the worst place that you can touch a person. Like, when is the last time a person said, let me touch your tongue? Like, and you're touching his tongue with blessed oil, what is the oil going to do for the tongue? What is it going to do? That person comes up, they're in a vulnerable space, they're in a vulnerable time, they're in a vulnerable space, they're in a vulnerable spirit, and they have things that they feel that they are coming to their pastor, their leader, they're coming for direction. And I saw somebody say, well, Jesus used spit. Y'all, we not Jesus. My son is calling me. Let me text him and tell him I'm going to call him back. So as leaders, as pastors, whatever position of authority that we're in, when we know that people are coming to us in a vulnerable state, in a vulnerable place or position, it is not our responsibility to take advantage of them. In my eyes, this person was a victim. And there's such thing as called victim shaming. Now, I haven't seen anyone victim shame, but I have seen people project like what I would have did was like, y'all, you don't know. First of all, it's the state of shock. But maybe it wasn't shock. Maybe this is just a normal thing. And if it's a normal thing, turn off your cameras. But I'm just saying, when people start getting knocks on their doors, I don't wish that on anybody. But but pastors who have overseers or what have you, we all go through training. We all have insurance. And there are conversations that the insurance companies have with pastors. And I'm quite sure that if an insurance company saw this, they would be very nervous. Because they're insuring you. They're insuring the people who are under the church or the organization or what have you. And when they see things like this on camera, it can't be defended. What's the last thing insurance companies want to do? Payouts. So in the name of you trying to help somebody get a breakthrough of deliverance or what have you, you paying somebody out $1 million? But they got their breakthrough, right? Yeah, they got their breakthrough, all right. They got broke off. But only in church can we do stuff and get away with it, because the code of silence, don't say nothing. Shh. That's the man of God. That's the woman of God. Don't say nothing. How many times have people been touched inappropriately? You got people running revivals. You got people like for real, like again, I'm not making this about anybody personally, because this could be anybody. This could happen to anyone. I remember a couple years ago, Mike Todd spit on his brother. Oh, well, it was his brother, and oh, he had done it before. Hey, bro. Your insurance company definitely is looking at that saying, don't think that's a good idea. I don't care if it is your brother. That's not a good idea. This is not what we are insuring you for. So you got stuff like this and it's on camera, like an act that's like, that can be deemed negligent. It could be deemed abusive. It could be deemed a whole lot of, it could be deemed as suggestive. It could be deemed as assault. It could be deemed as a whole lot of things. But are we looking at it in that way? Are we looking at it from that perspective or that angle? Or are we so desperate for people to have deliverance? That's what we're so desperate for somebody having this breakthrough. Because God's called me to revival. This is revival that's about to happen. And I'm about to have this breakthrough that's going to happen. And watch what I do. I'm so clever with it. God's going to tell me to put anointed oil on my hands. And I'll just start touching you everywhere. Because I'm called to do it. Okay. Okay. So are we comfortable with our churches staying a place where people, you can invite somebody to church. Yeah, I just seen a video. I'm good, bruh. Nah, that's not my church. Nah, they be doing weird stuff at church, bro. What you mean, man? I seen on TikTok a pastor. And what do you say to that? Oh, no, man, that's not every church. So now we try to be the defense. So me as a pastor, I don't defend stuff. I say, man, you absolutely right. Because I looked at that and was like, man, if I never had gone to church or hadn't been to church in years and I saw that, I'll be like, I'm good, bro. I'm solid. I'm straight. I'm going to stay right where I'm at. I'm good. I'm going to let the Lord speak to me in some other ways. I ain't going up in there. No, that ain't happening. I don't blame the people. I don't. I want to know your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts on this. What was your reaction? How did you react to what you saw? And what did you think? How do you think things will change from here? Have you actually seen a change in some of the churches you go to? And I'm going to be real. With our church being online now, I don't see our members as much up close. We have meetups here and there. But I was never, even in our time in person, I didn't do a lot of altar calls. I didn't do a lot of laying on of hands. We did every now and then. We touch people, anoint them on their head, that. Not because anybody's going to accuse me of anything. It's just certain things. To me, hey, people can get their deliverance through the word. That's just me. All right, y'all. It's J Shep with the rundown. I had to do this episode on today. Please leave a comment. Please feel free to share. Feel free to like, subscribe. I appreciate you for being a part of the rundown. We will be back again this week with another episode. I appreciate you. Peace and blessings. I'm out.